in times of political and economic instability, there's always a flight to stability. And I think the world couldn't be more politically and economically polarized at the moment. And I think the offshore jurisdictions always do particularly well in times of instability. And Cayman is no different. We've got the architecture that's extremely strong. We've got history of 40 to 50 years. And that has evolved over time to provide a regulatory framework that's particularly attractive for large global reinsurers looking to transact in the Cayman Islands.
Orium Re is a reinsurance company that specialises in the reinsurance of fixed and indexed annuity products. It was formed in late 2016 and to date has reinsured in excess of $3 billion of reserves. The management team carried out a review and visit of all the potential jurisdictions with no particular bias to any, and Cayman actually stood out for a variety of reasons. I think an overarching factor is Cayman's ability to align itself with the US from a regulatory and reporting perspective. Because our clients are US licensed carriers and regulated by the NAIC, it's important that we have consistency with them.
The softer elements for the Cayman Islands, for example, in terms of work permits, the ability to attract and retain C-suite teams, you can get 25-year work permits. Obviously, we've got the schooling infrastructure. We have the ability to purchase housing, which I know doesn't exist in some of the other jurisdictions. So in terms of having tenure with your senior management team and giving them the security that they and their families, more importantly, need, Cayman is wonderfully positioned. When you look from a government perspective, fiscally conservative, always running a surplus, a very stable environment financially. There are other jurisdictions that have massive national debt, that have trade union issues, they have budget or pension deficits. Cayman ticks an awful lot of these boxes. So for Cayman emerging as an alternative to Bermuda, and I think it's because we're a non-Solvency II jurisdiction, which is the European Regulatory Framework, and then the NAIC equivalency of the US, which is the National Association of Insurance Commissioners. We're in the very fortunate position to have a regulatory framework in the Cayman Islands that allows us access to the regulators and have those commercial conversations as to what a reinsurance company might look like in Cayman if we were to have a client that required some NAIC principles to be followed. And we have seen a distinct trend in development over the last while in many of these companies pursuing this in the Cayman Islands in what we call the longevity space, which is life and annuity, pension risk transfer, and long-term care.
Unlike other jurisdictions, the Cayman Islands insurance law does not mandate Solvency II equivalency and in fact permits reinsurers to adopt their own internal capital model for capital requirements. This has been good for us because we're able to adopt the NAIC risk-based capital guidelines, thereby remaining transparent to the US market. The insurance law also allows audited financial statements to be reported using internationally recognized accounting standards. And with that, we were able to elect to adopt US statutory accounting practices for consistency with our clients and the NAIC, but could equally have selected GAAP or IFRS. And on the subject of accounting, all the major accounting and auditing firms have a significant presence on the island and have deep insurance and reinsurance specialties. There are over 700 captive insurance companies licensed in Cayman, and with that comes a vast pool of lawyers, banks, and general professional support. Yes, there have been a considerable number of reinsurance companies physically setting up offices in Cayman. In fact, with this influx, the reinsurers founded their own association this year, namely the Cayman International Reinsurance Companies Association. I was lucky enough to already be living in Cayman before Orium was set up, but our management team that relocated permanently from the US have found it to be a fantastic place to live and work. It's a beautiful island with great weather and world-class infrastructure.